I lost my mom.
It's not about finishing when you start the race. It's about the road you take during the race that determines how you finish. You can never underestimate the heart of a champion. You can never criticize or judge a man when you don't understand him. Because even when some people lose, they win. They never really lose because they learn.
Brandon Russell, a.k.a. Wings, street ball legend, 36 years old, White Lock City, Maryland.
So you 36, Wings.
Absolutely.
You've been in Baltimore for all 36 years?
No, 14 of them.
So out of your 14 years living in Baltimore, how has that been?
Oh man, being a small town kid from Durham, North Carolina, moving up here at the age of 14, it really was like a cultural shock. Life was much faster and things were happening at a rapid pace. You really, being a country kid coming into the city lifestyle, you got to find a way to adapt. And, one day my father gave me a basketball. And I always remembered that the basketball court was down the alley. I used to walk and just go to the basketball court. I might be out there from 3 to about 8. Come in, do it all over again.
So how was your childhood coming up?
My childhood was great. I didn't have the average childhood. I was the grandson of a pastor. My grandmother was a very influential pastor. My grandfather was a United States congressman. My father was a hard-working man, and my mother worked in the United States House of Representatives too. So I really didn't have a rough upbringing like others did.
So how would you describe that upbringing? How would you describe that household?
A lot of pressure. First and foremost, with your grandmother being a pastor and your grandfather being a congressman, it's kind of hard. And, after moving up here at 14, I lost my mom at 16. So it was like, what would I rely on? And I relied on basketball, and I had a bunch of good friends around me that, wouldn't let me stray. The people on my corners where I grew up at, they would tell me to go to school. Here go $10, here go $20, go to school and do what you got to do. And they would be the same ones there to support me for my games. No disrespect to my father, but I only lost 3 games in high school, and my father only seen me play 3 games in high school. So it's like my hoods, I definitely am a product of my environment. My hood definitely supported me.
So you spoke about how you lost your mom at 16.
Yeah.
How was that time for you?
Losing my mom at 16, once again, it was a culture shock. Because I talked to her a week before she passed, and, she was basically telling me, keep going and keep pressing on and doing what I got to do. And, it was just like yesterday, I talked to her November 24th. She passed away on December 1st, actually a week later, on National HIV Awareness Day, and that was really declarated for her because of the circumstances and things that she went through, and being a big activist in the March of Dimes, that day was designated to her for the last 20-some years. And, I appreciate them, and I respect that, and I give the high praise with it.
So did that motivate you? Did that put you down?
It more so motivated me. I had something to play for, and I had a chip on my shoulder because losing her at 16 in December and then turning around 18 months later, and in them 18 months, I seen my life turn around where I went from a kid losing his mom to a kid winning a state championship and making history in high school to being a father no more than 60, 70 days later after that. So I really had no time to really enjoy my, to bask in this. I enjoyed the moment, but I never got to enjoy the afterlife of it.
So you also mentioned that your father only seen 3 of your games.
Yeah.
But before that, how was you and your father relationship?
My father was one, no disrespect. I tell a story how it's supposed to be told. My father really didn't want me to play basketball. He didn't see it taking me nowhere or making it for me, because he was a hard-working man. I seen basketball taking me places I've never been, because a wise man once told me, if you take this ball with you everywhere, that your ball will take you everywhere. So I never let no one knock me off or take me shy of my dream, because I had to live it with my mother. I had to live my dream to take care of my son. I had to, live my dream to try to be a way out. Yeah, I didn't make the pros and the NBA meaning, but I still got a chance to get paid to play and do the things that I love and go to school for free.
Right. And you also mentioned that you from Durham, North Carolina?
Durham,
North Carolina.
Yeah.
What's the difference between Durham, North Carolina and White Lock, Baltimore? We can say East Baltimore, we can go North Baltimore, South Baltimore.
You know what I mean? when you cross over to Maryland, I tell people this all the time, Baltimore's not a part of the DMV. When you cross over to Maryland, it's Upper Marlboro, PG County, come down the line, Glen Burnie, Columbia, and all that. Then this way it starts and it gets real when you talk about Cherry Hill, Brooklyn, Westport, East Baltimore, West Baltimore, White Lock. It's certain places, that are just their own staple in our city that people don't understand, In our hood, my hood, White Lock is different, White Lock to me is like the Monopoly board. I got my Park Avenue. I got everything I need over there. You feel me? It's like the Monopoly board. Durham, North Carolina is more, I want to retire. I want to raise my family. I want to sit back and I want to do what I had to do. I was a kid that went from retirement to the grind. Like I had to really step into the motive of the situations and be like, I got to really do what I got to do and get on my grind, because you can so easily get lost in the culture up here.
So Baltimore City, kind of known for what? Crime.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of positive stuff here. What did you see coming up that kind of motivated you to do what you do?
Like I said, I had a different eye for life. I was already raised in the church, so I would befriend someone before I enemy them. And coming from here, if you befriend somebody that you had beef with or something like that, the respect is gone. But respect is not given, it's earned. And you also got to understand that you got to play your part in life to even get where you want to go or be where you want to be. You might not feel this situation or may not feel that situation. I'm never going to badmouth nobody to get up, to get over, because God already got a blueprint written for you. Your steps is already controlled and balanced in His will and His way, that all you got to do is walk in your faith and your favor. And that's more the motivation and the plan that I live by. So when my friends see me talk like this, it's really foreign to them, because when you turn around, you see vacants, you see people cussing you out, you see this and that third, you really don't really catch someone that's uplifting you and bringing you and trying to give you a positive influence to life.
Right. So, like I just said, Baltimore, crime, you just mentioned and broke down different things you saw and different things. In school, you played basketball at Douglas.
Right.
01-02 undefeated basketball team.
Absolutely.
But you also had a tragedy with a teammate on that team. From that team. So
we'll never do nothing without it. Long live the Psalms, 22 strong forever, 450 we here. We graduated, we left, we parted ways in 2002 in high school. And then we came back together in 2007. I received a call from a friend of mine, more like a cousin to me, Keith Mallory. And Keith was like, yo, Gerald playing down the Goodman today. So I had already been to the Goodman the year before that, previous, with the good people, my homeboy Corey at Shooters, that his brother Jay runs Shooter Clothes or whatever. And he had introduced me to a culture in the Goodman League that I had never seen before. So to know that my brother was going down there to play, I wanted to be a part of it, because we had just made history together no more than a few years ago. So I call him, and one thing about me, I remember everything because it's genuine. I call him and I say, yo, what's going on, yo? He said, no, what's up, bro? I said, you playing down at Goodman tonight? I said, yeah, 7 o'clock. I said, yo, get me a jersey. He said, I'm coming down. He said, come on down. Lord knowing that day would change our life forever. Gerald Brown went from Gerald Edward Brown III, born on December 13th, to being P. Shitty, born in June of 2007. And the day that P. Shitty was born, it was a gift and a curse. Because some people really had it but don't know how to accept it. Some people tug of war with it because they get too many people around them that wasn't there when they first got it. In that year, we probably lost 2 games. 1 game early, and then Cheryl made one of the boldest statements out his mouth ever.
What was that?
I want to play all days. All days. You know who we playing it with? You want to play them? So when Gerald said he want to play all days, I'm with him.
So who is All Days? What is All Days?
Let me get to that.
Okay.
All Days is a clothing line that's ran by Kurt Bone called All Days 365. They used to run with Rayful Edmonds back in the day, his right-hand man. But you know, with the name goes the players, you know. And so Miles gave us the game on a Sunday. Now forget it was on a Sunday. Gerald was here in Baltimore. Renzo, Eddie, Lord Tater, all of them rode up to DC. Came down Bowie, came to my dorm when we rode down to Gutman. When we get there, All Days got the cream of the crop. Dante Green, Michael Beasley, Trey Kelly, Isaiah Swan, Bill Walker, Ryan Chase, Chuck, and you know who, Agent Zero himself. I'm looking at that team, and I'm like, arguably, the best game I ever played in my life, because these was 8 pros, 8 Division I first round pros. Gilbert was probably the only one that got picked in the second round out there. They was all pros. You feel me? So I look at Gerald. There was no disrespect to Keith and all my people around him. I said, Gerald, we gonna do this. He said, just follow my lead. I said, say less. He started, I didn't. You know, and when I came in the game, I'll never forget, my first play in the game, he threw it to me. He was so happy to throw it to me from half court. He threw it too strong. And he hit the backboard. And they hit the backboard, I still pulled it and dunked it. And Miles said, man, them boys from down in Baltimore, Maryland, man, them boys can sure enough get it done. He sends it to his co-pilot. I was his co-pilot, you know, all the way to the day that, you know, I walked him to his grave and put the dirt on him. I always have been his co-pilot, and I never shied away from that. When people was like, oh, yo, boom, boom, boom. No, that's what you want. You have that. I'm cool over here. You know, it's gonna be time for my story to be told, and we gonna have fun. You know, it hurt. It was probably, I lost my mom, and I lost a lot of people in my life, and I was just talking to my brother today about this, and I said, yo, that was the most painful loss in my life. You know, I still get up every day, I think about it. You know, I post him every day, every chance I can. You know, he was just a phenomenal guy, phenomenal talent. Top 5 in the nation in scoring, along with Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Gary Neal, Reggie Williams. He was on that list. He was top 5 in the, you know what I mean, category. He was a special talent, a special friend, a special father. He was just, you know, he was special everything. That's why everything I do, whether it be on this court where we cause havoc at, or anywhere, it'll always be done on his namesake.
So you went through a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of different things. A lot of trials and tribulations.
Yeah.
You lost your mom. Dad not at the games, and you would like him there. You know, that'll kind of motivate you more, right?
Support, you know that.
You know? West Baltimore. Kid from, what? North Carolina.
Yeah.
But you live a different lifestyle.
Right.
Why not the negative lifestyle?
Because it was never in me. You know, I did my time. I gave my time back. You know, I did my time when I got caught in Cambridge, got sent up to Hagerstown for 8 months, 7.5 pounds of weed, plus a couple dollars on in you know, 2010 early part. You know, I did that. I sold dope. I did all that. But when you playing in the streets, this street don't got no number, no name, no date, no none of that. You could come out your house at 6:05, and by 6:07 you did. Like, is that a chance? Do you want to play Russian roulette with your life like that? Do you want to really have your parents figuring out how to get 10,000 or better to bury you? But you had 10,000 in them streets, and you bought Balenciagas, and you did this or you did that. You know, get LLCs and do things to give back, because once they took rec centers out of Baltimore, the streets took over. They pushed kids out the recs and they pushed them into the streets. Kids barely go to school. Our feared coming to school smelling like weed. Kids today come to school smelling like weed and everything else. It's like you gotta set boundaries and standards, and it's because it's no morals no more. Kids don't live by morals. When I grew up, and I ain't gonna say if I grew up, when I grew up, I could walk down the streets and I wish one of my father's friends. If that was my father, homeboy, your friend, that was my uncle. If that was my aunt or my mother friend, that's my aunt. I grew up with aunts and uncles. I ain't grow up with homegirls and homeboys. Homeboys and homegirls couldn't discipline me the right way if they caught me doing wrong in the street. But if my uncle seen it, I'm gonna get disciplined by him, and then he gonna page my father. My father gonna look at his hip. He gonna call back because that's his man. He gonna tell him the story. When I get home, I think I'm in clear, but I'm gonna get my ass whipped.
So different generations, different time, right? So you mentioned you was caught at time with weed or whatever you had. You know what I mean? How old was you then?
Shit, I got locked up when I was 28.
28 years old.
I did my time. I got locked up from 25 to 28. I lost a lot of my life being locked up. You know, I did one crime for knocking one of my teammates up. Say I had brass knuckles on because he was cheating me out of my money. You know what I'm saying? I did time for making sure my niggas was good, making sure we was gonna eat. You know, we gonna swipe, we gonna get it done, we gonna eat. When you a college student, you never know what's gonna happen. But I made sure my niggas was in college eating lobsters, steaks, all that. And you know what I'm saying? You can ask them, and you heard stories about it. I'm gonna make sure my niggas good. We gonna eat every day because that's the type of person I am. I take the socks off my feet to the shirt off my back. That's just the type of person I am.
So for the first time you arrested, right? First
Yeah.
time you locked up. You know what I mean? We ain't got nothing scripted here. My Baltimore documentary, nothing
No,
scripted.
this all real right here. You can check Maryland Judicial.
You know
I got
what
3
mean?
pages, and I'm still on probation.
What would you tell yourself before you arrested for the first time? What would you tell yourself?
Stick to what you want to be, and that's a basketball player. One thing about Baltimore, when you're a basketball player, you got your own lane. Don't be a basketball player and try to be in the streets. Don't be a basketball player and try to be a killer. If you're a basketball player, you're a basketball player. You don't know what it feels like years later, almost 20 years later. You see people and they still remember who you are from basketball. 20 years later, I could walk in the front door of a club with no ID, no nothing. It wasn't because I made all this money in the streets, because I killed somebody, because I did this or did that. I did it because it was basketball. You know what I'm saying? When things get to going good, like this sound over here, the devil get to moving. You feel me? You ain't got to do that. You ain't got to do that. You feel me? What I'm saying? The devil try to drown you out. A hater try to drown you out. You know what I'm saying? But like in the Bible, they say one thing the devil can't take away from you is your voice, your praise. And every time you praise, you get took to a higher level. You feel me? So I would tell them, be you, man. Be you. Be your inner essence. Be who God created you to be. Because failure is not an option as long as you live your vision every day.
We have our own journey, and our paths are different. And you don't need GPS to follow your own directions.